Welcome to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experience and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenurseconsultants.com/blog, on LinkedIn and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Now here's the host of Should You Take That Case, Lisa Wade.
Hey there, happy Monday, everyone, or should I say happy Medical Record Monday. That's what we celebrate here. And welcome to another episode of Should You Take That Case. I'm glad to have you. I am your host, Lisa Wade, legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants. Think of us when you have tons and tons of medical records you need translated into normal human language, easily understood by judges and juries. Visit us at wadenurseconsultants.com. But I am also the creator of a very wonderful private LinkedIn group, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That's where we get all of our wonderful attorney guests that we interview, because we use this opportunity to get to know one another. And we're going to do that today with our guest, Omid Rejali. But before we get Omid out here, we just want to scoot over to the comment section and welcome you all to today's show. But we encourage you to scoot over there and let us know you're there. Give us some likes, some hearts, some emojis, and put an A in the chat if you are an attorney. Put a P if you're a paralegal. Put an L if you are another legal nurse consultant like me. But put a W if you are part of a group that I enjoy, Women-Owned Law. It is a wonderfully groundbreaking group connected to advance women legal entrepreneurs with the primary mission of empowering women lawyers to achieve success in the business of law. If that sounds interesting to you, scoot over to womenownedlaw.org and take a peek. We'd love to have you. We also want to thank everybody for taking time out of their very busy days to spend some time with us. But now it's time to introduce our guest for today. Born in Houston and raised in Tehran, Omid has overcome many obstacles towards his journey of becoming a better human. Some include an early mental health diagnosis, moving between countries, failing the LSAT 3 times, and taking the bar 4 times. He is a firm believer in the power of consistency, perseverance, kindness, and being a good human. Omid currently practices personal injury law with an emphasis on trials in San Diego, California. And now I bring to you Omid Rejali. Hi, Omid.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And that San Diego weather is stunning, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, you can see it in the background.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, we're going to dive in a bit, and we're going to find out all you have to say about medical records and how they impact your cases. But first, we want to hear more about you. We want to know what led you to that practice of law that you are in, and how'd you become an attorney, and just spill all the tea. Let's hear it.
All right. Also, two reasons why I started, well, I chose to become a lawyer. First, my mom wanted to become a lawyer, and she sort of was unable to do so because she had us and things got busy, and so she never had the chance to actually become an attorney. But I will say, when she was like later in life, she chose to go back and got her paralegal certificate. So good on
Oh,
her for that. Yeah.
good for her. Whoop, whoop.
And then when I was a little kid, my dad also had sort of a case who he had a big attorney represent him, and so that kind of had like a big impact on me as a little kid. So and so, that attorney basically would represent the little guy against big corporations and big entities like insurance companies. So I sort of kind of gravitated towards it and pretty much do the same thing now. But yeah, those are the two reasons why I chose to go into the personal injury field and particularly trials, because I think my dad's case also went all the way through trial. So I guess it's kind of, I don't know, kind of had that in me somehow. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, fighting for the little guy, that's important. And you caught that bug early.
Yeah, I did, and it's still going. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, now let's get into those cases, those personal injury cases, and tell us a little bit about what factors into deciding if you should take that case.
Well, when I at least first take a look at the case, there's usually, again, two main factors that we look at. We have the liability aspect of things and determining, is there liability, of course, here, and then secondly, then we get to the damages or the harm, and we'd have to take a look at what are the specific injuries that are there. Now, depending on when in the process I get involved, meaning if it's from the beginning of the case, we may not know the full extent of the injuries early on. If it's at a trial, we probably know more about the case by that time because time has passed. So to those two things are basically the main things that I take a look at least, is liability and damages to determine sort of if it's something that's viable, and also if it's something that's worth the time as well, because at least in my practice, most cases that I kind of take it with an eye towards trial. Mm-hmm. So, and to take a case, yeah, if you're going to take it to trial, you have to think if it's economically something that's feasible to do, right? So in other words, the damages need to be justified. If the liability is tough, then the damages need to be higher to be able to justify the amount of time that needs to go into it, the amount of resources that needs to go into it financially. So yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Well, so what kind of factors would go into it if what would make you refer a case to someone else? Is it something that things that don't go to trial, or do you refer those things out, or how do you decide that?
So it just depends on how large the case is. We try to help as many people as we can, so it's not necessarily one that we try not to refer cases out if we can help them. We at my firm, at least, we also have sort of a pre-litigation department as well, and so in the pre-litigation unit, really what we do to determine whether or not this is a case that needs to be filed and potentially litigated is we take a look at three sort of different factors at the time when a settlement's being offered. And those three different factors, which include number one, has the injured person, have they been fully recovered from their injury? That's like the most important thing, because if they haven't fully recovered, then and then it kind of goes into the second factor, which is, okay, are they satisfied with the offer that's being made? And then the last one is this a case that justifies taking a trial? So sort of, by a decision tree, we make the determination based on those three factors of whether this case needs to settle in pre-litigation, whether it's something that needs to be filed and gone further. Of course, ultimately, the last decision maker is going to be the client. So we do get clients too from time to time who say, you know what, like, I just don't want to go through the stress of litigation. And if that's their wish, then we obviously have to do it, because the clients have the ultimate say in settlement. So we can only advise them based on our experience and training of what we think, but ultimately they get to make that decision on what they want to do with their claim.
Okay. Now, well, once you decide and you're into these cases, medical records, they start pouring in.
Yeah.
What kind of process or routine do you have for completing those record reviews? I know you have a pre-litigation team, but
yeah.
but what kind of routine do you have for diving in?
Yeah, so the routine, usually the way I like to see it, at least, is by chronological order, right? So chronological order, sort of the facility where they treated at, what type of facility it was, what kind of provider they were, what was the diagnosis, what were the symptoms being complained of, and what was the ultimate, treatment recommendation. So, and the other thing I like to see, and I think is very, very important in medical records, is that we have to remember to make sure that we also sort of trust but verify. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure that we have all the prior records as well as anything that happens subsequent to the event. You don't want to be blindsided by something that you just don't know about. But if you do know about that prior record, at least, that could turn into a case of an aggravation perhaps, or the person may have been more susceptible to being injured. But if you don't know about it, then it sort of becomes problematic. But yeah, like as far as process is concerned, we like to sort of put it into sort of an Excel format and having all those things laid out. Symptoms, the ones I mentioned. So it's so I can get like a big picture view of what's going on with a particular client, patient.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're diving in. It's like a DIY kind of thing. Do you have anybody helping you, or
So we have had outside companies help us out with them. So with putting this together, I do have another attorney who's helping me out right now as well, who helps out with that. She does a really good job putting all the records together. I personally don't necessarily at that juncture take a look at everything. I'm the type of person who doesn't have the greatest memory. So like, I'm like the type of guy who like looks at something like 48 hours before, or maybe even the day of. It's just the way my brain operates, because I have too much information in my head from just various places. So I can't focus, but to be truthful, I probably look at it like either if it's going into a mediation or if it's like going into trial and I really now need to know the very, very specifics of everything, is when I start really looking into it. Yeah,
that's okay. You need to focus on your legal minds and your legal plans. So that's all right. Let's let somebody else work on those medical records. Okay, that is good. Now, well, when you do deal with them and you do have to, work through them and look through them, is there something that you find difficult or frustrating about those medical records? Any pet peeves you have when dealing with medical records as part of your cases?
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know if I have any pet peeves, but of course, the one thing that comes to mind always is the medical terminology is is always an issue. I mean, it's with time you sort of learn more and more, but there's almost always something there that we don't understand, and so that's I would say the terminology is always an issue, and so. Yeah, that's one thing. Pet peeve. I can't think of any particular pet peeves of mine. Medical
Well,
records.
the one thing that other attorneys mention regularly is the process of obtaining medical
Oh
records.
yeah, I mean so I was thinking about after we've gotten, but yeah,
No, it's
the
okay.
process of getting them is there's got to be I'm sure there's got to be a better system, but yeah, that's always an issue. It's just contacting them, following up, and mostly like if it's a private place, like it's easy to get, but like if you're like dealing with like, for example, like Kaiser Records, maybe like say, but like or maybe just like some of these bigger organizations, it's a little bit more difficult, I feel like, because there's just a bit more sort of red tape, I guess, to get to those records. But yeah, I mean, obtaining medical records is definitely I try to stay away from that. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm just going to mention real quick. I've had like two people in the past maybe 12 months that have come to me, mistakenly thinking that I am attorney, and who were in possession of all of their medical records, that they had obtained them beforehand, and I had to let them know I do not give legal advice. So I end up referring them to several
Sure.
several options for personal injury attorneys or med mal attorneys like you. But it must have been nice when they showed up with all of their records in hand when they came to their offices. So
every now and again we'll get somebody like that too. Like they'll just have all they're like, here you go, here's everything. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's very convenient. So well, you have given so much good information and background and insights.
Sure.
Is there anything that you've missed that you would like to share with newbie or veteran attorneys about pursuing these personal injury or med mal cases?
I think probably the most critical thing that it comes to my mind again is that making sure that you have all the medical records, and also at the deposition phase of your client, to make sure that they're aware of all the records, right? And the reason why I say that is because they'll usually ask them, for example, have you had any prior problems to the same areas that you're claiming to have an issue from as a result of this case? And it's really like people just sometimes don't understand that question, and they don't necessarily mean to be untruthful or anything like that. They just don't know, they don't remember. So again, obtaining all of the records going back at least 7 years or 10 years is a good idea. Or alternatively, if you just don't want to do that, like make sure that the client doesn't give like an answer that they're going to be stuck with. I mean, if they don't remember something like that, it's totally fine, right? But if they say no, and there's a record out there that shows that they're complaining of their neck, that's not going to be going. It's not going to be well. And like I said, it's sort of educating them about the law too. I feel like people are just kind of worried, and they think, oh, well, if I don't disclose this particular information, then maybe that would blow my whole case out of the water, because I have to show that this thing caused this or that. They shouldn't be worried about that, right? Like, and the law, because at least here in California, and I'm pretty sure it's universal in a lot of other states as well, that the law protects all of us equally. It recognizes that, as we age, for example, our spines degenerate and get old, just like a tire, right? So if a tire's flat, then it's going to be obviously more susceptible to blowing up by less force. So it's like, it just makes sense from a legal standpoint, and the law is out there that says what I just said. So I would say, just make sure you educate them on the law, get all the records, and don't listen too much to the insurance companies. I'd say that too. Like, if you really think that your client's hurt and they're not giving you full value, then just have 12 people decide it.
Okay. So you're saying normal wear and tear on the body does not preclude a claim for an injury.
Exactly. Unless you show, you got to still show that normal wear and tear got worse or made you more susceptible to either pain or whatever the issue is that came about as a result of the injury producing event. But yeah, normal wear and tear doesn't just preclude a claim outright.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, you are at the point of our show where it's time for a little Q&A. If you are ready for that.
Sure.
All righty.
If I can answer them, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is, everybody that's out there, if you're out there listening, you have a question and you want to ask, just put it into the comment section. And while you're getting those questions together, we're going to have a small, what I call sponsor break, to let you know a little bit about what we do here at Wade Nurse Consultants. And we'll be right back to Omid. All right.
Perfect.
All righty. Everyone is not always completely clear about what legal nurse consultants do, so I'll make it clear for you today. At Wade Nurse Consultants, it's all about review, research, and roadmaps. And when we review medical records, we summarize and translate that information into normal human language, easily understood by judges and juries. When we research, we complete medical literature searches regarding topics attorneys may not be familiar with, and we locate experts and testifying or consulting experts that an attorney may need to support their case. And when we create roadmaps, we do that for injured clients in the form of life care plans detailing their future medical needs over their lifetimes, including estimated costs of that care. To recap, legal nurse consultants at Wade Nurse Consultants, for us, it's all about review, research, and roadmaps. Now it's time to schedule a 15-minute free medical case strategy call by clicking the calendar link inside the comments box of this YouTube channel so we can chat. And now it's time to get back to Omid for Q&A. All right, let's take a look. Do we have any questions yet for you? No. It's okay. It happens sometimes. Everybody is catching us on the replay.
Sure.
So what I do is I have a solution. I put your name, your contact information inside the description box of this YouTube channel. So
Excellent.
People can reach out to you and ask you what they need to know. Sound good?
Perfect. Sounds good.
Right. But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Will you come back again?
Yes, sure.
Right.
Why not?
That's good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely. It's been fun.
I'm going to send you out a little invitation a few months from now, and we will be happy to have you back again.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much, Lisa, for having me.
All righty. Well, I'm just reminding everybody, since we're coming to a close right now, I'm just reminding everyone to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Reach out to me if you have any questions about legal nurse consulting at lisa@wadenurseconsultants.com. But you can catch us next week for another episode of Should You Take That Case, Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching and listening to another episode of Should You Take That Case with your host, Lisa Wade, your friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and creator of our private LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That is where we get all of our stellar attorney guests. The goal of our show is to be a resource for legal professionals who pursue medical cases by sharing their experiences and insights as defense or as plaintiff attorneys. You can catch prior episodes at www.wadenurseconsultants.com/blog, on LinkedIn, and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and sharing this show with others.